The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Now broadcasting from the Right to Offend Media Studios in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, art, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report Live with Sam Whitfield.
But giving offense is good. In fact, it's essential.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, recording at Right to Offend Media Studios here in Southern Florida. And joining me for this week's Monday episode is, we have a bit of a special guest, a special co-host, as it were, Mr. Apex Gamma.
Special.
Yeah. Apex Gamma is back to comment on all, basically, just the, kind of, I guess, crap show that has been November so far, and it's not even Thanksgiving. But anyway, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, buddy. I'm reporting live here from Right to Offend Media Studios, Indiana. Up here,
cool.
Up here, holding it down in the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
No, I'm doing all right. I'm kind of enjoying the shit show. Truth be told, not much has changed in my life so far, but I have felt the genuine sort of weight lifted, sort of existentially, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe that's just like the honeymoon phase, but I don't know. I don't know really how to explain it, because I definitely shit posted a lot for Trump, and I was certainly more of a Trump fan the more I looked into him. At first, I said, my fiance, if she were ever to come around, would attest that I told her early on early 2016 that I thought he would be like the best president of our lifetime, based on the things that I was, because that's the one time in my life I was doing like political, like genuine research on like what politicians were saying versus what they were doing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, So yeah. And he's not perfect by any stretch, but I can't help but like the guy, and he's done more good than harm. And I think my stance, I said this, I think, or some version of this when COVID popped off, when you and I were still doing the show back then, that I have the utmost faith in the American spirit, the American people. And I think a lot of people probably feel a lot like me, or similarly, where they've had a boot on them in ways they've not necessarily been able to even understand or articulate. But this current election cycle made a lot of things clear, I think, for some people, which is why we saw, flip in so many places.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know. And it's, the other thing is it's not the end of the fucking world either. For the Democrats losing their goddamn minds, the women shaving their heads and stuff. It's like, this wasn't a categorical win the Republicans have had in my lifetime, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Ronald Reagan, the map was entirely red, except for somewhere up in like Wisconsin or something.
Yeah. Ronald Reagan had a blowout in 1984, which was, that's crazy to think that was literally 40 years ago now. But
But you also have to think about what happened since then. Was kind of my point. Like politically, we've had. After that, we had Bill Clinton, we had Obama, and I mean, it's just like everything else. It's ebbs and flows. ups and downs, peaks and valleys types of thing. You know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
only thing I hope is for radical change, and I don't think it's going to be easy. But like I said, I do genuinely believe in the American people and our spirit, and the shit going on in North Carolina and in the over in your neck of the woods since the hurricanes is still a fucking tragedy and a
Oh,
disaster that's not being addressed except by American citizens. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot going on that I think people are seeing, and it's waking people up. And I'm hoping for a genuine sea change, and I don't think it's going to be painless, and I don't think it's going to be anywhere near perfect. But yeah, we've needed some radical change, So I guess
Well,
it's had me hopeful, I suppose.
yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, for starters, I kind of find it to be like on my end, it's absolutely wild to me that like Trump was the very first candidate who I voted for as president when I was just 21, and yet I'm about to turn 30 in January, and like Trump is
Elvis
still the
Presley.
only Trump is still the only presidential candidate I've voted for, so like that's almost a decade, which is kind of like,
That's insane, actually, when you put it in terms like that.
yeah.
Sorry.
Someone actually pointed that out to me the other day, and I was like, holy. They were like, dude, do you realize that Trump is the only presidential candidate that we voted for? And I'm like, and at first I was like, well, no, you're right. It was like one of
Oh,
those
yeah.
moments.
That's crazy. That's wild, actually.
I definitely don't think that Trump is perfect by any means. I also think, like, in hindsight, I don't necessarily think that if COVID hadn't happened in 2020, I think he would have won in a landslide for sure.
Still not. I'm still not convinced that he didn't win.
Yeah,
I'm still not convinced. There's some when you look at those numbers, it just there is some fuckery going on there, and probably on the Republican side too. But
yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, Max and I both said that the election has no doubt was stolen in 2020. But what I'm saying is, I
they wouldn't
don't
have been able to, right?
is I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
COVID, and we talked at this. There was so much fuckery with COVID, back then, and like even now, like we're still learning shit about like, COVID and whatnot. That like I don't think they would have been able to get away with stealing the 2020 election
Yeah.
in the way that they did. I mean, morale was like everyone, even I was like, pretty depressed, So I think general morale was kind of down back then, but
I think it has been since then too. Yeah, I agree with you.
yeah, I mean, I would agree it's been down, maybe not as much. I do think it was kind of like funny when the powers that be were like, there's a pox outbreak like back in June, and they were like, yeah, no one's falling for that. So
Well, I mean, enough people were like, "Hold on a second," and looked into it, were like, "Oh wait, it's the it's the homos." So just don't go fucking each other in the ass, and this one you can avoid. It's not a
yeah,
don't go
yeah.
coughing on each other type thing. And people were able to spread that news effectively enough early on that people were like, yeah, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, I honestly think too that like um even without Trump getting shot, like I just think that Kamal was, and this is one thing I've tried to like tell some of my family members who, it's been wild because we were talking like after the we were talking off air about like after the election and like watching Kamala, supporters like lose their mind. Well, I have like a couple of family members like who were like, I just understand how Kamala could have lost because Trump's so bad, and it's like, well, even if you can see that Trump is like, even if you think that Trump is bad and that he has his flaws, like Kamala literally had no like policy positions whatsoever. Not just that, but like she would cackle literally at everything at some of like the most inappropriate
Yeah,
times.
like a lunatic, like literally like a crazy person. Yes,
Yeah,
and which is why I respected Joe Rogan and like his seemingly genuine desire to get her on the podcast and just talk to her like a human, because she just didn't
yeah,
seem like a person. And I saw somewhere studies that came out like months ago that the Democratic Party, like they were not on board. They wanted somebody that separated themselves from all this Democrat bullshit, all the things that the Democrats have stood for the
yeah,
last several years. They want, they want to be rid of that. They want something new. If Kamala would have come out and been like, all right, we're not doing this gender bullshit anymore. We're going to focus on shoring up the border and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like hit some of the bullet points that people care about: inflation, the
yeah.
border, you know, Social
She
Security or something. Maybe, who the fuck knows? I don't know.
if she had if she had done if she had if nothing else, if she had focused on the economy and getting that back on track,
Yeah,
or
the economy
tried
and the
to,
yeah, those two things
yeah,
I think could have done it. Yeah.
um, maybe she still might have lost because those two things are also kind of Trump's expertise area. But I think if she had at least focused on those, she would have seemingly made like, you know, a bigger you know, I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if she would have won, but she would have definitely put up a better fight too.
I genuinely feel like a lot of Democrats at this, it got to the end of the race here, towards the end of the race, and they, like so many of us in the past, finally got a switch flipped, and they're sick of the bullshit. Like there's
Yeah,
like clearly being lied to, and toe the line or whatever. Which is why I said I think they could have tricked more people effectively if she would have just stood on those points, because that's traditionally what presidents do anyway. They just say a bunch of things and then get elected, and then don't do any of them most of the time. You know.
yeah. Well, what's weird too, I don't know if you and I ever like discussed this, but like what was really weird was back in July, I was at like a neighborhood Fourth of July party, which I usually go to anyway, and I was one of the last ones that stayed, kind of after everyone left, and I was talking with a few people, and these are people who like I know them fairly well, but like we never really talked. We don't really talk politics. One of them said something along the lines of, like I'm usually traditionally a liberal, but man, like the LGBTQ stuff in schools, like and the whole forcing gender crap on kids, like I don't want that. I might have to vote for. And these are people who like I hadn't brought up politics or that I was voting for Trump or anything. This was like kind of like an out of the blue, just like you know
Sure.
thing, and I was like, well, that's interesting. So that like
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean. Is it's forcing a lot of this stuff to the surface, because so much of our society is based on us being asleep. There's a lot
yeah
of memes about waking up and being woke and blah, and it's all been co-opted in several ways. But I mean, yeah, we all just get into our routines, and we don't pay attention to the shit that matters, be it politics or what's happening next door. In a lot of cases, you know what I mean. So
yeah
yeah, I think it's woke a lot of people up in a lot of ways. So that's what I mean. I feel like we're in for a renaissance of sorts, and it may not may not all be good, but I think
yeah.
we're in.
Well, I mean, I'm not a parent myself, but like I've been around you know young kids enough to know, and parents with their kids enough to know that like I imagine it would be pretty jarring if you're a parent and you have a 7-year old, and all of the sudden that 7-year old all of the sudden is coming home and being like, "Mom, Dad, what's a vibrator?" Or something just like
Well, look,
randomly.
I mean, it's the inevitable conclusion to nationalized education, if you ask me. I mean, the whole it just it's been bullshit ever since I was a kid. The
Oh
No
yeah.
Child Left Behind and fuck whatever all the other ones are, I can't think of off the top of my head. But yeah, no, it's all bullshit. Again, we're all just supposed to eat it, and we have for a long time because it's just the way it is, and the people in charge say so. And if you know, enough people get squashed, and the media for a long time is reporting the actual truth, and now that hasn't been true for fuck probably a couple of decades at this point. They've been bought and paid for. So yeah, I mean, again, it's invigorating to see. I'm just not super confident or comfortable in what the immediate future is. I mean, I have faith. I just
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be tough.
I think it'll definitely get interesting. Like, I honestly am like, I'm a little anxious to see like what will happen between now and January 20th. Hopefully nothing happens. But like, I do kind of find interesting that minus the absurdly loud TikTok people, like nothing has really happened. Which I mean, I guess is both good, but like it also kind of makes me think, well, like who knows? They might try, someone might
Yeah,
try and assassinate him, a third time because why not? You know?
yeah, and I mean, I was talking to a coworker about this the other day. A young fellow that he's confident. He's a Trump fan, but he's confident they're gonna whack the man. He said so before he won. He was like, even if he wins, I think they're gonna get him. And I genuinely believe at this point that it's the momentum is not stoppable because all that would effectively do would put JD Vance in charge, and the millions of his supporters would have seen turning him into a martyr at this point would probably be much worse than letting the man fumble his way through another 4 years because he's already, and I mean, in my opinion, he's already surrounding himself with some sycophants. Elon, as brilliant as he is not. I don't know. I don't know, man. So we'll
Yeah, I
see.
mean, look, the whole thing with Elon is, and I mean, I actually read Elon's biography that like came out on him. It is a little wild. It is a little wild because like Elon kind of went from being like a libertarian to being like more of like a Ron Paul like libertarian type to now being like a full on MAGA type guy, which is hilarious to see. But also like I don't necessarily like. There's all this like I do kind of find ironic because the same people who were like fine with like Biden having Chinese influence over him are now concerned that the South African billionaire is now going to have like influence over Trump somehow, which I kind of find comical.
Yeah,
You
I don't know
know?
if it's real. I don't know if it's real or not. I'm assuming it is, but I saw a clip on Twitter where at some convention recently, someone was on stage and was like, where's our George Soros of the right?" And Elon stood up and everybody, the fucking like light pointed on him and he fucking, arms up and everybody cheering and shit. So it's like, I mean, even as a joke, it's like that doesn't seem like a smart idea. you
I
know?
don't. Yeah, I haven't seen that, so I don't know if it's real. I also know though that like Elon is kind of like a shit poster,
Yeah,
or
but I mean, it seemed to be hundreds of people in like an auditorium and somebody
yeah.
else on stage.
No, I actually described Elon Musk as like he is kind of like an internet troll, kind of like you or I would be. He just has like billions of dollars, so he
Yeah,
can
just a billionaire autist. That's all.
yeah. But like, I think honestly, what's wild to see, especially since like you and I were kind of like early followers, is like we now have like Tulsi Gabbard as like
Oh
you
yeah,
know
I used to pray.
as
I used to sing her praises back in the years ago.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
same here.
yeah,
I never, and also it's kind of it's also kind of wild to see that like I never thought that we would get like RFK's son in the Republican Party, but here we are.
Yeah.
For better, for worse.
It's wild. That's what I mean. We're in for some interesting times ahead. I mean, regardless of what happens between now and the 20th of January.
Yeah.
I saw one of my favorite posts ever where like some leftist was freaking out. I wish I would have saved it, but somebody quote tweeted it with like they were freaking out about it, the election being stolen, this current one. And they're like, yeah, That's great. First you should appeal, and they like went through all the steps, and then the final one they're like, and if none of that works, the election is certified on January 6th, and you guys should all storm the Capitol and demand whatever, recount or whatever. It was brilliantly worded. It like one of those IRL laugh out loud moments. It's like, God damn, that's
some of those left-wing freak out videos. I mean, like, I imagine that there's like a fair amount of those that are real, but I also imagine that there's a fair amount of those that are just like 4D like troll clickbait.
Yeah, no, I have to believe they're like in this like social media influencer culture, especially in the 2024 era. Like, shame does not exist for so many of these people. So if they can get 5 million views of them doing a manufactured freak out over the election, they're going to maintain several 100,000 of those when they continue making content about whatever bullshit they deem creative or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, well, that's what I was telling. That's what I was telling Matt. That's what I was telling Max and Maxine too the other day. Is I'm sure that those are like I'm sure that some of those are like genuine freakouts. But I also know that like there are trolls, and like particularly Max. I could totally see someone like Max being like, or Jesse from Pod Awful being like, "Hey guys, wouldn't it be hilarious if we all did like an over the top like freak out over the election to get like mega views or something like that."
Yeah, to start a specific trend, like to freak out about one specific thing, get a few dozen people to post on, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, 4chan's been doing shit like that for a long time. I mean, and various types of people. But yeah, that's what the internet is. That's why people say it's not real. There are real people on the internet, but almost everything that there's any sort of interaction with is not real. You know what I mean? It's like manufactured in more ways than you can probably quantify off the top of your head. So it's best to just have fun with it,
That's why it's so hilarious when the left says, well, the right literally memed Trump into office, and it's like, well, no, but also kind of yes, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, the great meme war of 2016, that's like a moment. Those are moments of internet, like genuine internet history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so there could be an argument for memes getting Trump elected the first time. I don't know about leftists, but they certainly contributed and probably failed, which helped make it funnier.
Yeah.
For everybody else.
Speaking of funny things on the net, you and I were both commenting the other night as the entire world was breathlessly waiting and then waiting some more for Netflix to buffer as the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight was happening, and during that entire fight, I just want you to know, all I can think of is as I was reading your tweet responses to it, all I was thinking is, shit, Apex introduced me to Mike Tyson Mysteries. So,
which is a fantastic show. God, he should do that again.
It is. I wish. Well,
Norm
I wish Norm were still around to do it. But yeah, like I think that would have been more worth watching than the actual fight for a lot of people. So
yes, And yeah, while you, as you described it, the world was waiting with bated breath. It seemed, from my perspective, that they pulled their phones or their laptops out and let the whole fucking world on Twitter was losing their shit. I've never seen anything like it on Twitter. Like, you'll always see some random things, I mean, ads, of course, but like, those accounts that are like, wow, look how amazing this is, that gets millions of views per post or whatever. Those will always be riddled throughout. But I was
Yeah.
scrolling through as I was as I was watching the fights on the pirated you know website that my friend was using and that I happened to be watching. And it was going pretty smooth, but it was buffering a little bit, but I just happened to scroll through Twitter and I noticed scrolling for like 5 seconds and every fucking person was talking about the issue. So I started giggling about it and I started thinking about it. I'm like, thought how funny it was that Netflix thought it was a good idea that they were so big. They were a little big for their britches. Apparently they're like, yeah, let's stream this to 100+ million people for free. More than multiple times more than any pay-per-view ever. And even pay-per-views, which has been around for decades, has issues sometimes. I've watched dozens of them over my life.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's on cable or now bullshit ESPN Plus is fucking trash too, to be fair. But like there's no threshold for these people. We were talking before the show, a pay-per-view for most of these things is like at least $60, if not 80. For like a UFC main card, a numbered card. Yeah, it's like $80 fucking pay-per-view. To get a Netflix account with ads, I think it's like $8. To get one without ads, it's like 15 or something. You can get
Yeah.
1 month, and there's a lot of them do it for free. You probably get a free month, sign up, and then God knows how many dozens of millions of people. And I saw early reports that like 90 million concurrent viewers, which that's absurd. But I also thought I thought it was funny that so many people were freaking out over a clear fucking circus. It was a joke from the moment it was announced. It was a joke from the moment the first bell rang. And to be fair, apparently it cleared up for most people by the time the main event popped off. But yeah, no, it was a fucking shit show. And I hated every bit of it, but I had nothing else to do.
I was honestly like, I really didn't care about the fight other than like the fact that like everyone was talking about it, and I actually my whole thing was like, I was actually impressed that Tyson, I think the more impressive thing is that like Tyson actually went the distance at his age. Which
he didn't. Yeah, it is. Look, he looked better to give him some genuine credit. He looked better on Friday night than at 58 years old than Stipe Miocic did in the UFC heavyweight main event on Saturday night, last night.
Yeah.
So, they both looked old as fuck. And from the moment it started, Tyson, he didn't have legs, and that was clear. I knew it was going to be bad, but I still had hope again. But he didn't do much, and neither did Jake. It was a bad fight. It was a really bad fight. I mean, the whole buildup was Jake's talking about knocking him out and shit. And then, of course, nobody wanted to see that, but it's combat sports, bro. Like, you can't sell that. Don't sell it that way if that's not what you're going to do, If you're going to be respectful to the legend. See, I don't know. I mean, I get it. I understand it's all fucking entertainment, but that's why I didn't appreciate any of it. But still watched it because, again, why the fuck not?
Yeah, I felt that it was kind of like overhyped a bit.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every single person that gave Mike Tyson any sort of hope, just they're thinking of Mike Tyson 30, 40 years ago. And that's what we all hoped would show up, but there was never any real hope of that for more than a few seconds,
Yeah.
So, yeah, anybody that pays any real attention to combat sports, like it was clear. And I feel bad for everybody that thought it would go otherwise, but again, at least we didn't have to watch him get knocked out.
Yeah, I will say this though. I thought that was a hilarious and pretty smart move. I guess Rumble decided to use the opportunity during the fight to announce that Mike Tyson now has like his podcast like streaming on Rumble now too.
Oh, that's good.
So,
Nice.
um,
Little cross promo. Hell yeah.
yeah, not bad. And they were also like pointing out that their cloud service would have been more stable, and they were even saying like we should host a pay-per-view fight on Rumble, and
Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
should. They genuinely should.
yeah,
Because
I'm like,
I bet you Netflix thought the same thing. I bet you they were just as confident. Netflix has been streaming shit to people for a long time. You know what I mean? So I
well,
feel
but
like they may not care as much as Rumble, but I don't know. I mean, it seems cocky to be like, oh yeah, we would do that, even though we've never done anything close. I mean, if anything, a fraction. Because again, we're talking
yeah,
90 million concurrent viewers on a live event. Like, I mean, I realized on election night they had dozens of live streams that had millions of viewers each, but those are different streams. Even if you combined all of those to one
right.
particular event, it doesn't hold a candle to what Netflix was doing. So yeah, I mean, maybe they could do it, but I just was being facetious and a shithead on Twitter because it's what what is fun to me sometimes.
Yeah.
I didn't mean any shots really. I would love to see them do it and pull it off. That would be huge for
Oh
them.
yeah. Well, I was kind of my whole thing was like, okay, Netflix. So Netflix has actually done like live events before, but it's mainly been like comedy events. They've done they did they did like a live stream of like Joe Rogan's latest comedy special, which I didn't see when it was live streamed, but like apparently that was a live stream event. And reportedly, when they did the live streaming event, there were issues with that being live streamed. And granted, like
Yeah.
that was,
Imagine there would be. Yeah.
and granted, like that was that was like, you know, one of the biggest live stream, you know, comedy events, but it's nowhere on the scale that like this fight would have been, right? So
Yeah.
like,
Right. Yeah. Especially considering it's like a pre-recorded. Was it pre-recorded or was it live streamed from like live at the event?
yeah, it was like literally live streamed at the theater where
Ah, okay. So you see, so there you go. Yeah.
so like
So I feel like, sorry to cut you off, but real quick, I feel like the problem is this technology, the thresholds are being broken so often that these tech companies, they get so good with what they have, and then they push a new threshold and find new. I mean, it's just the way things work in general most of the time. You know
right,
what I mean? You find new problems.
right. My whole thing though was like if they had trouble like, and I had said this like back when the fight got announced, I'm like if Netflix had trouble like streaming the Joe Rogan comedy special and that was just one comedian, then
Yeah.
like
Standing still on stage effectively. There's no, you know what I mean? There's no
yeah.
buffering of the shit moving around and all that other stuff. So
Yeah, but if they were having trouble with that, then like they really needed to boost their infrastructure, and and then when and then when the fight started buffering, I was like, well, I guess they spent more money on DEI programming than they spent on infrastructure and getting their servers, you know, ready or whatever.
I suppose, but
So
like I was just trying to say, I genuinely think if and when Netflix does this sort of thing again, it will be significantly better. Maybe not. I shouldn't say
oh
significant. I
yeah,
guarantee. I would put money on it being like noticeably better. You know what I mean? I imagine they learned from a lot of the fuck ups because, like I said, I think they broke through a new threshold that weren't. They thought they were prepared for, but they'd never actually been there before. So once you land yourself in the tens of millions of live viewers on a live event, like shit starts to break and you got to figure out how to fix it, because you've never had to
yeah.
do that before. And that, you know what I'm saying? So that's the way it's the way the logic in my brain works.
No, no, I think you're absolutely right, you know, with that. So
Can I ask you a quick question?
yeah, absolutely.
We're not live, right? We're recording.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're just recording this.
Can you pause the recording for like 1 minute? I like really need water. I didn't get
Yeah.
water before we started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, do that for me real quick.
And we're back. So yeah, so
Sorry about that, folks.
I think that fight was pretty well.
It was
I
bad.
mean,
It was very bad.
yeah,
And it was a joke to begin with, and I feel so bad for everybody that fell for it, you know. But again, it was smart making it free, because I would bet you that if they made this an actual pay-per-view where people had to pay even $20 to watch it, it would have been atrocious. I don't think they would have done a fucking million buys, maybe, but probably not, because I think most people realized it was a joke. But I think I would argue over 50% tuned in just for the hope, just the slight glimmer of hope that Mike would fucking knock him out. But they knew like myself, they knew all along what it was, and there's no real fucking shot. But if there was a God, again, maybe Mike had a knife in his gloves and he would stab Jake Paul to death live on Netflix, and we would all at least get to enjoy that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of either of the Paul brothers. Jake seems a little less obnoxious than his brother, but like that's slightly less.
Yeah, they're both retarded and douchebags. You know, they're both a particular kind of guy. And yeah, I suppose Jake has become he's a little less outwardly douchebag, but I mean, they're both fucking scum, truthfully. You know, the millions of dollars they've made doing the shit that they've done. I mean, it's not all absolute trash, but a lot of it is. I mean, look, this fight is a perfect example. Jake made $40 million to use a 58-year-old former legend as a punching bag in front of 90 million people.
I honestly didn't even really know that much about the Paul brothers. Apparently they were Disney stars back in the day or something.
I thought they got their start on Vine, and then they ended up on Disney for a little bit. I could be wrong. It doesn't matter. But yeah, they're that generation. They're like the early adopters of they're who social media and influencer culture is kind of modeled after, which is why they can never be forgiven, regardless of how good of human beings they are.
I agree with you on that. And I say that as I'm an old school podcasting
creator,
guy.
yeah, for sure. But there's a difference, man. There's a big difference.
Yeah, I even the whole thing with podcasting. I hate the fact that TikTok and Instagram is a thing that I mean, you don't have to use it, but you kind of do in order to promote your show. So I kind of begrudgingly reactivated my old TikTok account. So.
Yeah, well, look, that's been a truth for quite a while. I mean, at least a decade or more. That every popular social media account is kind of important to have if you have work. If you do work that's social media related, or if it's even in the sphere, podcasts or any of it, if you promote on any kind of social media, you need all of the platforms. It just makes sense. It's more work, obviously, but you just a few more button pushes to reach that many more potential people. Effectively.
Yeah, I have one of those softwares that it takes the same clip and then distributes them to all of them basically.
Yeah, that's
which
good.
Definitely helps. So,
yeah, it's a start for sure.
But yeah, man, I mean, I just I said that fight and seeing your comments, that was pretty fun. So.
I did enjoy it. Thank you for bantering with me, because I was just kind of tweeting into the wind as I tend to. So
yeah, well, and then that may be whatever. Like I said, whenever I think of Mike Tyson, I can't not think of Mike Tyson mysteries now.
It's
Um,
such a good show, man. God, I should go rewatch it actually.
it really, it really is, and I mean, it's the humor is like incredibly stupid. Like the plot points, they don't make sense, but it's like it's purposely stupid and
Yeah,
bad.
no,
It's
it's perfectly like satirical and slapstick, and
yeah,
there's a lot going on there, and it's all good. And yeah, Norm Macdonald as a pigeon, Mike Tyson as himself as a superhero Scooby Doo, you know, cast, leader type of thing. It's fantastic. If you haven't seen it before, seriously go watch it.
the fact
If
that
you enjoy laughing anyway.
yeah, the fact that the fact that they even got like the old like Scooby Doo like Hanna-Barbera style like animation
Yeah,
too
100%.
is just like the chef's um kiss too.
Yeah,
So
and I mean realistically, like I'm not gonna hold you, especially those of you that have never seen it before. Norm Macdonald as the pigeon is probably, if not the only reason to watch the show, it's probably the best part of the show. Because I seriously always thought like qualified it as Norm just being himself, like more himself. You know what I mean? Like letting out a part of his character that you can't
yeah,
in public, type of thing. The part of his funny that he knows is over the line, type of thing. But he's a pigeon, and he's supposed to be
yeah,
racist and sexist and like just awful because he's a pigeon. So he's
yeah,
he's, he's fucking awesome, man.
yeah. Well,
One of my favorite Norm performances.
yeah. Well, I talked to someone recently who actually they didn't know Norm, but they knew someone who apparently like who dated Norm at one point, and they were like, "Yeah, Norm was incredibly sweet," and I'm like, "Well, I'm like, you might not want to watch this role then because like it's the polar opposite of like Norm being a sweetheart, which
Nah, I
make
mean, look, yeah. If you
which
look,
which makes
go ahead.
which makes it all the more funnier in my book.
Exactly.
So
Right. I was gonna say, unless
yeah,
you're like a soulless fucking monster, and again, like don't like laughter or
yeah,
joy, or you know what I mean, then yeah, you won't like it. But it's so funny. I love it.
yeah. Well, then and then like even without even without Norm, like Mike actually like I don't know if he like this is one of the funny things like watching the show is like people have like tried to figure out like is Mike actually acting or is he just ad libbing and being himself?
I think he's
Because
acting. I think he's acting
yeah,
most of the time. But there's a good chance that if the showrunners were smart enough, they probably knew that Mike wouldn't be able to act a whole lot, so they probably just explained the situation, and they probably had like the room. They probably recorded like together, or like where they could see each other,
yeah,
or you know what I'm saying, so that like scenes were done where like he could just kind of, yeah, like the scene could go in a particular direction. He could understand what's happening and what he's like what his character's supposed to be feeling or whatever, and then just go. You know what I mean? Instead of giving him lines necessarily. Although, I mean, I don't think it'd be hard to get Mike Tyson to read some lines, a handful at a time. You know what
no,
I mean?
I think he can do that. Whether they're understandable or not, that that's another thing.
Yeah, it's a
So
brilliant show. So that's good. I'm glad that that's where your mind goes when you think of Mike Tyson. You'll never forget me then.
yeah, mission accomplished, I guess on your end. So
Nice.
so
What else? What else is on your mind, buddy?
oh well, just shoot, man. It's I can't believe it, but the holidays are already close by. I mean, like I said, it's been a whirlwind of a year. Like
It's fucking insane that it's November fucking 17th already. It's
yeah,
fucking insane. I literally can't even believe it. Like, I, they tell you when you're young, the time, at least I was told when I was young, the time goes faster the older you get. And you think that's bullshit. Time's fucking time, you know? But you don't realize as a kid that the older you get older and you have responsibilities and work and bills and, you know, you know what I mean? So you have less free time. So that's where the time goes because you're have so many obligations. And you don't think about it that way necessarily, but
Yeah.
you just wake up one day and you're like, oh shit, that was 10 years ago? Or, you know what I mean? You start thinking about things, reminiscing. Like, damn, I
Yeah.
haven't seen him in a few years. Like, oh, wait, no, oh, yeah, that was 15 years ago. Damn, okay, never mind. It just
Yeah.
zips by, man. It sucks. I hate it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and then like I mean you said today is the 17th. That means that like I'm 60 days away from my 30th birthday, which yeah, like you just said, time fly time flies by. So, like
Yeah, I mean, even thinking back to since you and I hooked up, that was fucking, like, what, 6 years ago?
more
7 years ago?
like yeah, I think more like
8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
8 fucking years ago, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy. So,
yeah, that was the other thing too was like um someone recently like asked me on like one of occasionally I'll tune into like one of Liz Antoinette's streams just to see what like she and John Arcade are like, discussing, and
yeah.
occasionally people will like ask if like if I have anything to add on to the Owen thing, and I'm like, honestly, I'm just surprised like that Owen is still going and is still a thing on the internet. Um,
Me too, until I think about it for a few seconds. I would be surprised if that fucking parasite gave up. He's doing exactly what he's always done. He's just backing himself further and further into corner, and he's figured out he can slither up the wall.
well,
So
yeah. It's also kind of funny though, just to like because he was kind of obscure like when I first, and I mean to an extent he is still obscure, but like now he's like I think he was like on the front page like art of like the main like cult subreddit the other day for like cults in general. So, which is
good,
yeah, which is
good.
that's
Johnny
funny.
Arcade, Johnny Arcade's still out there doing the good work, man. I mad respect for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure. So, anything on your mind as far as like any plans for the holidays or anything like that, or
No, no, nothing planned, man. I do have a very boring week ahead of me that I'm going to try and get some things done. My work made me take a week of vacation because I got too much of it saved up. My boss and my boss's boss were like, "Hey, you gotta take some of this." So
well,
I
hey,
did.
if you're around on Wednesday night, we'd love to have you on the live show. So
Maybe I'll do that with some of that with my time. Try and record some stuff finally. But yeah, no,
yeah,
I got nothing particular on my mind, man. Just the same old shit. Just genuinely trying to get it all together.
well,
You know.
that's all any of us are trying to do. I'm kind of like I'm like already booking guests for like next year, which is what. So
Awesome. No, that's good. That's fucking work. That's called work, homie. I'm
no,
very proud
no,
of you and all the stuff you've gotten done and continue to accomplish. You're on your way up, man.
no. I
Finally.
mean, it's good for sure, and I'm glad. It's just kind of like we're already heading into 2025 already. Like 2024 just
Fucking
just
zipped by.
began. So
Hopefully we're in for 4 good and funny and exciting potential filled years. That's the way I look at it.
yeah, well, hopefully the economy is a bit better, in these coming
Oh,
years.
it better be.
So
It better be, or
um,
people will burn that fucking White House down.
oh yeah, well, like it does kind of, I wouldn't say it sucks, but like I'm now in the position where like, I'm selling books and whatnot. I mean, I'm not complaining. I've made decent money at it, but it is always a little tough because every once in a while I get people who are like, well, I'd love to, I'd love to be able to buy like a paperback or a hardcover, but money's tight right now, and
Yeah, of
which
course.
I understand, and they're like, well, can you maybe lower the price? And it's like, well, no, I can't because
Yeah, for
Amazon,
obvious reasons, man. Yeah.
yeah, so it's just kind of like, so like I'm not really bitching at that, but it's like, man, I hope the economy, gets better so that people have more spare change and, stuff for that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I
So
agree. Would be nice to see. I mean, it would be nice to have some more money in my pocket again too.
yeah,
So
I miss I do miss although I suppose it's better for my health, but like it is wild to me that like McDonald's, like during the Trump administration, you could buy like a large fry for like $1, and now it's like $5 for a McDonald's fry now. It's like,
yeah,
jeez.
yeah. They used to have the market cornered on like convenience with shit food. Now it's convenience and price. It was cheap, it was fast, but it was dog shit. You know. Now it's
Yeah.
now it's fucking expensive. I mean, it's literally it costs as much to go get like a Big Mac and fries and a drink as it is to go to like the local Tex-Mex restaurant down the street from me and get like a 3 taco dinner with rice and beans and a
Yeah.
soda. A glass bottle soda. The real sugar shit.
Yeah. No, I actually, yeah, I went to the Cuban place by me, and yeah, it costs like, it actually costs less to go get like a real Cuban sandwich with like real meat and stuff than it does to get
Yeah,
like some puny you know quarter pounder that
yeah,
like
exactly.
one. So,
But yeah,
but
let's just say I'm cautiously optimistic. That's my vibe. That's how I'm feeling, man.
yeah, I mean that's been my vibe for the last couple of years, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like we have better reason to be optimistic. You know,
Yeah.
potentially than we have over the last few years, but we'll see.
Oh, for sure. So, but anyway, well, man, I appreciate you coming on, and anything else that you want to promote or push before we get out of here?
No, except for I would like to say thank you, of course, for having me. As always, it's always a genuine pleasure to chit chat with you, man. The only thing I would like to promote is, of course, your show, which is live every Wednesday on Rumble, and then, of course, the Sandwich Makers and Bits and Bones also on Rumble. They're on their respective channels, as well as Maxine's Mortuary. Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, and you
the,
and you
the
were
entire
actually
right, the entire Right to Offend Media crew. Yeah, go
and
check
you
them
were
out on Rumble.
actually you were actually on Maxine's Mortuary too.
That's right. I was guest number one, and I had a genuinely fantastic time chit chatting with her, sharing spooky stories and stuff. So if you're into that sort of thing, we shared
Which
some.
I didn't know that you were into any of that stuff.
Well, it's not necessarily that I'm into it, but I have stories. You know what I mean? Like I don't do a whole lot of research. I don't read creepy
Yeah.
pasta. You know what I mean? Like some people, and apparently Maxine consumes a lot of that sort of media, and I don't really. But I have lived a long life, and I've seen shit, experienced things, and I explained a good handful of them on that their first episode of Maxine's Mortuary.
Yeah, well,
So
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking forward to maybe to going on there at some point. So, I mean, I think I wouldn't necessarily know if it's a paranormal experience. Like, I've definitely, as I've lost more relatives over the years, older ones, but like I've definitely had experiences like feeling their spirits or whatever. So
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and even, maybe just be there as a, maybe you guys can, I don't know. I don't want to, but yeah, I had a great time and look forward to doing it again. So yeah, if you guys are into that sort of thing, please go check it out. Check out any of the other Right to Offend Media shows again on Rumble. And if you care at all about the shit that I randomly tweet about, you can find me pretty easily. It's the name on screen there, just with an underscore in between them, the words.
Yeah, which is always, it's always fun.
Yeah, thanks again, man.
Thanks for coming on, and we might see you later this week on the Wednesday show. So
absolutely, and thank you everybody for listening.
Absolutely, thank you for tuning in, folks, and we'll see you on the Wednesday show.
The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Thank you for watching the Whitfield Report live on the Right to Offend Media Network. Make sure to check out Sam's books on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. You can follow Sam on X at SamW_NGC and the Right to Offend Media Network at RTO Media. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, God bless, God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy, in that order.